Are you ready to manifest your dream life? My name's Kalia, and I'm going to discuss with you today 5 things that you can do to manifest your dream life. These aren't necessarily action steps, but they are steps that need to be taken to have the desired results. So, number one, the first thing that you need to do is to be very, very clear on what your goals and dreams are. A lot of people think, well, it would be nice to have that big house on the hill, or it would be nice to have the money to buy this vehicle, or it would be nice to have a successful business, but they don't have the clarity of what they're really willing to invest themselves in and invest their energy in. So when we decide what we want and we get really clear about what we want, the energy starts to move in that direction so that we can manifest what we want. I talk a lot about how it isn't magic. There's actually science behind this process. So getting clear on your goal is the first step to manifesting your goal. If you decide you want a new car and you go, yeah, I'd like to have a new car, but you're not clear on what new car you want, you haven't done your research, you haven't decided, well, I want this car, then it's going to be a lot harder to know what lot to go to or how to go about getting that car. Perhaps the motivation won't be there to get that car. So getting very clear on the car that you want is really important. When I got the house that I'm in right now, I wrote down everything I wanted in a house before I ever even saw this house. And when I saw this house, it had everything that I wanted. It had everything on my list. So just like in manifesting love, when you manifest a list of what you want in a car or a house or anything else, a business, then that clarity helps you to visualize it, to see it, and to put out the energetic feelers to draw that to you. So, ironically, I had the list of what I wanted in the house, and I was looking at all kinds of houses, and they might have had some of the things, but they didn't have all of the things. And none of those houses panned out. It didn't work out to get any of them. And then this last minute situation popped up where this house became available, and I was actually the very first person to look at it. And ironically, it was also in a neighborhood I had ridden my bike through and said, I love this neighborhood. I would love to live in this neighborhood. So the energy was high. And I was very excited when I found that the house that I ended up in is a house I used to ride my bike behind that house every day when I came to this neighborhood because I loved it so much. It was on the river and I just really loved this neighborhood. So being very clear on what you want energetically starts to move you towards that. So, number one, get clear on what you want to manifest. Two, visualize yourself already having it, already having what it is that you want. Now, I know when I had this house in mind, I saw it. I didn't see it as it is now, but I had the opportunity to look at the house and then make an offer on the house. Well, believe it or not, it didn't close until 9 months after I made the offer. And that's because it was a foreclosure and the bank was very, very difficult to work with. So I got it at the right price and everything. That was great. But there were so many hoops to jump through and it was really discouraging. So there was that point from when I made the offer to when the house actually closed, a period of 9 months. Isn't that an interesting gestation period for a house? So every day I would ride my bike over to this house and I would walk through the yard. It was empty. I'd walk through the yard. I'd see myself living there. I would see myself planting a garden. I'd see myself working in the yard. I would look in the windows and imagine how I would decorate and how I would paint the walls. And I was constantly putting myself in this house. And finally, 9 months later, we were able to jump through all the hoops, and some of them were very difficult and very challenging, which are some of the hoops that might be on the way to our goal. But we jumped through them and ended up with the house that I had visualized. So be sure to visualize yourself in that house, in that car, in that business, or in that relationship, whatever it is that you have decided that you wanted, that you have set your goal on, be sure to see yourself, visualize yourself, imagine yourself already there as already having it, already running your successful business, already in a successful relationship, already living in that home. Whatever it is that your goal is, imagine yourself as already there. Now, number three is to work through your limiting beliefs, and that includes your thoughts and your feelings. So, working through limiting beliefs, when you decide you want something, then everything opposing it is likely to come up. I see that happen time and time again, and it can be very discouraging, and it can cause us to give up and say, well, maybe that just wasn't meant to be. Maybe I just wasn't supposed to have that house. And I could have said that so many times with this house because, like I said, it was a 9 month process of jumping through the hoops. I could have so easily given up, and I did get discouraged. And there were even times when I was told, like last minute, that they weren't going to extend the closing date any further, but they were asking for something that just was almost next to impossible to get in the time that we were given to get it. And miracles happened in the last minute. That's all I can say. It was nothing short of miracles that happened that allowed this house to close. It was a lot of work, and I had to work through so much of my fear. My I don't deserve to have what I want. I can't get what I want. Everything I try to get falls through. There were all these fears that came up that I had to walk through. So you've got to work through your limiting beliefs and your fears around what you think you're deserving of, what you think you can have. When we set our sights on something that's beyond our normal range, like a great relationship when all you've had are toxic or bad relationships, like a great home when you've never really been happy with your homes, a great car, a car you would really love when you've always kind of settled for whatever you could get for the right price. And suddenly you are putting out this really big goal that seems on some level to be impossible for you. We've got to be able to move through all of those things in your mind that tell you that this is impossible, that you can't have it, that it's not yours, that there's no way that you can be successful at getting that thing that you want. And this is a lot of our unworthiness and our fear of failure and our belief that we can only have so much, that we're not deserving. There's so many things that can come up that prevent us from getting what we want. And if we don't become conscious of that and work through those fears instead of giving up, I could have given up on that house so many times in that 9 month period, but I didn't. I just stuck with the process and I surrendered it on many levels. But the next time there was a hoop to jump through, I made the decision to attempt to do my best effort to jump through those hoops. Now, this is the same thing somebody would have to do with a business. If you're starting a business, things don't always go the way that you want them to. And it doesn't mean that manifestation isn't working in your life, it just means that you come up against your growing edges, so to speak. those places that have always held you back in the past, but this time you're not going to let them hold you back because you're going to walk through those challenges. You're going to walk through those fears and insecurities and negative beliefs that tell you you can't have what you want. So being determined is really important. You have to have that sense of determination to walk through your fears and limiting beliefs. Number four is don't let distractions and setbacks stop you from doing what's necessary to have what you want. Now, distractions are a really big thing that get in people's way. They get distracted with the negativity. They get distracted with those thoughts and beliefs that they can't have what they want. They get distracted by negativity. They can go into feeling discouraged, and those feelings of discouragement make our energy plummet. It brings us down, and we're in a lower place. We're not in that manifestation energy. We're in the defeatist attitude. So you've got to bring your energy up into positivity, into positive expectation and hopefulness, and not give your attention to the distractions that come up and get in your way and the setbacks that come up and get in your way. So if you're on your way to manifesting a bunch of money and you have a unexpected bill come in, perhaps it's a car repair that's pretty expensive and you weren't planning on that, and it feels really discouraging because your sights are set on manifesting a bunch of money, and instead of feeling like the money's coming in, it feels like it's going out. And that can be really discouraging. But you can't allow things like this to take you off course and put you into a defeatist mentality. Instead, you have to stay with, I can get through this. It's still happening. My abundance is still coming to me, and I can still have what I want, and keep your eye focused on the prize instead of focusing on those setbacks and letting them take up all of your mental energy. Focus on the dream, focus on the goal. It's not that we don't deal with the setbacks. I had a car repair recently that was unexpected. And I dealt with it. I took it to the mechanic and it was more than I thought it was going to be. And it's like, it's okay. I'm abundant. Thank God I'm abundant. And just kind of staying in that energy of abundance, even though these things are happening. And, the truth was I did have the money to pay for it. I could pay for that car repair. And it's like, yay. And I feel like this is the case with a lot of people is that we just really get hijacked by those defeatist mindsets. And we allow those distractions, those things that happen, those unexpected bills and repairs and things that take our money to discourage us instead of going to the affirmation that everything I spend circulates into the universe and comes back to me tenfold. And that's what I was saying. For example, paying for my car repair. Everything I spend, I'm prospering my mechanic who I love. So I'm prospering him. I'm putting this money into the universe and it's circulating and coming back to me tenfold. And that ends up being the experience. So when you have a lot of resistance to paying those unexpected bills or having a setback in a relationship, maybe a dating situation didn't work out the way you wanted to, or a house situation or anything like that, just keeping your eye on the prize, keeping your eye on the goal that you initially set for yourself and focusing on that. Number five is following your ideas and inspiration. So when we plant the seed into our subconscious mind of what we want, so you've set your goal, you've gotten really clear on what you wanted, then you have to listen for the ideas and inspiration. So I'm going to use my house as an example. That's the theme for today, it seems, that I was inspired to go for a bike ride and go down a road I didn't normally go to. And I ended up in this neighborhood that I've been living in for the last 11 years because this was a while ago that this happened. But I was inspired to ride my bike down here, which is where I found the neighborhood for the first time, which made me feel like, wow, I want to live here. I love this neighborhood. I love the nature around it and the green and the water and everything. So, I followed inspiration to even know this neighborhood existed. I didn't know before I took that bike ride. Following up on ideas, like when I started my business, back in 2006, sometime around there, I followed up just on all of my inspiration and ideas, and that's what really launched my business. And every time that I have a goal to do something, whether it's write a book or start a new program or anything like that, it's my inspiration and the ideas that come to me that are responsible for any of the successes I had in life. So you have to be able to listen for that inspiration speaking through you. It's responding directly to the seeds that you've planted. So when you feel a guidance, follow through. Follow that guidance and don't let fear hold you back. Don't let fear stop you from following that guidance because sometimes that guidance may feel risky. Like when I was guided to participate in my own coaching program, not as a coach, but as a coachee. I went into business coaching and it was really expensive and it was a really big risk. And I didn't have the money in my bank account at the time to just go ahead and throw it out there. I had to take a risk. I had to invest and go into debt to get this program, but I was guided to do this because, I mean, there was a part of me that's like, you need help. You got to quit being so darn independent that you think you can do it all yourself. Why don't you learn from the pros? Why don't you learn from people who are already successful doing what it is that you want to do? And that's what I decided to do. So I invested in myself and I invested in coaching, and it was really uncomfortable. It was a really big stretch for me to take that leap. But I did, and I'm so glad that I did because I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be here right now doing what I'm doing if it weren't for this coaching program. So taking those risks, sometimes following our guidance and taking those risks, they bring us up against our growing edge again, where we have to walk through some of those fears and those things that have gotten in our way in the past, where we listened to our fears and said, "No, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not going to do it." Instead of realizing that inner guidance is asking us to take a leap and to go the next level. So when people have the goal to be super successful in their business, to be millionaires, for example, you have to have that millionaire mindset, and you're not going to get there without coming up against your fears and those things that have prevented you from getting there in the past. Those things aren't going to magically resolve. You're going to have to put some effort into resolving them. That means facing the fear. That means feeling the fear and doing it anyway. That means taking risks now that you might not have taken in the past. So when you're asked on some deeper level to follow your inspiration, to put this new idea into motion. Say yes, and then get the help that you need to move forward with it. You don't have to do it all yourself, but you do want to act on those ideas and inspiration to have the success that you've outlined as step number one that you want in your life. Number 6 is celebrate the small wins. A lot of people kind of ignore the small things. They don't celebrate it enough. And when you celebrate the small things, it makes room for big things to come in. One thing I hear a lot from people that are just getting going in manifestation is I got a small unexpected check or unexpected money came to me, but it was small. And it's like, great, celebrate that. Doesn't matter how much it is because if small income can come to you unexpectedly, so can big income come to you unexpectedly. But you've got to be a master of the small things before you can be a master of big things. So celebrate those small wins, whatever they are. And what that does is it gets you focused on the wins. So when you get that extra $20 that comes in, or $100 or $50 or whatever it is, say, thank you. This is so exciting. I've just received unexpected income. And it puts you into that energy of gratitude and acceptance of these unexpected things. So celebrate the small wins, look for those wins. Starting a business, maybe you have some wins. You will always have wins along the way, but don't ever underestimate the importance of those wins in a business. Getting a certain aspect of your business set up is a win. And yes, it can be directly related to the effort that you put in, but that's still a win because we are efforting with the divine energy of the universe, with God. We are working co-creators with that energy. So we are putting energy forward. We are doing a certain amount of work. We are taking action on a lot of things. So we have to celebrate the things that come to us as a result of our action and then just come to us as a result of inaction. If somebody calls you and says, "Hey, there's this person that needs what you're starting your business on, that needs the service that you're offering." That's a win. Even if that person doesn't end up being a client, it's still a win because, hey, somebody's interested in what I have. And if one person's interested in what you have, then two people can be, and four, and six, and so on. And that's where your business grows. So start being thankful, appreciative, and celebratory over those wins, no matter how great or small. Look for them, celebrate them. And that really gets the energy moving in your life, that energy of celebration and gratitude, and more will come to you as a result. The very last one, number 7, don't give up on your dreams. Do you know a lot of people, they come right up to the edge of where they're ready to take off and they quit. Have you ever heard the story of the man that bought land where there was supposed to be gold and he dug and dug and dug and dug and dug and finally he gave up and said, "There's no gold here," and he sold it to the next person who came in and dug like an a foot further and struck gold. Now, what if that person hadn't given up and just kept digging? A foot further and there was gold. And that's how it is a lot when we're pursuing something in our life is we give up too soon. And had we just stayed the course, had we just been persistent, had we been willing to walk through the difficult times and the frustrations and the fears and the things that got in our way and just stuck with it, we would be successful. So when it comes to manifestation, it's an art and it can take some time, but you will start to notice some of those small wins right away, and those small wins will become big wins if you're persistent and you stick with it. But when you give up, then all you're doing is choosing your default manifestation. So, as I said before, we're always manifesting. We're always creating something in our life, but we may not be conscious of what we're creating. We may be creating by default. We may not be aware of our limiting beliefs and our fears and the things that are blocking us. So, because we are unaware, we're not putting any effort into it and we're just going along, la 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 la, going along in our life, just getting what we get. And when you become a conscious creator, when you start being conscious of what you are creating in your life, that requires changing those habits of creating by default. That means becoming aware of what's going on inside of your mind. That means setting really strong intentions of what you want to create and doing all the steps that I just discussed. So they're not super difficult steps, but they do require you to shift your mindset from that default where you used to operate to intention focused, where you are completely focused on what it is that you want to create or are creating in your life, to stay focused on that. Keep staying the course regardless of what is appearing right now in your physical reality. Just stay focused on what you're wanting to bring into your life. Stay focused on what you want to bring into your life. Keep seeing it, keep believing it, keep taking those action steps, the following those ideas, inspirations, working through what comes up as it comes up, and celebrating those small wins along the way. And before you know it, your dreams are becoming a reality. That house closes, as it did for me 11 years ago. It's like suddenly I'm moving into that house. I'm super excited. I'm getting what I had been visualizing and seeing in the neighborhood I wanted to live in. Things like that can happen for us every day, but we have to stay the course. We have to stay focused on what it is that we want and be willing to walk through those obstacles. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. And if you want to join my Conscious Creators community, I invite you to come on board right now and start consciously manifesting with me and the group of people that are coming into Conscious Creators. This is free to join, and you can begin to work for free on my Wealth Magnet Method course and join the community. I'll put a link in the description below. Thank you for watching today, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.